And how was it that you eventually got caught? How did you eventually get into trouble?
That took a long time. So I come here in 1978. I make my way into a profession. I work at MetLife, and so I'm in the country for 8.5 years. When I made a mistake, I had a steady girlfriend who was a citizen of Guyana. She came here illegally, and at one day she confessed to me that she was
Closing up a little bit closer.
Well,
you can move it to its.
well, she confessed to me that she was in the country illegally, and she asked me if I could help her become a citizen. And after some analysis, I figured, yeah, I could do that, and it worked. So here's one illegal who made another illegal legal. But then the mistake was that I wasn't aware that this was. It's very typical for West Indian ladies who want to move up. They catch themselves a man and then get pregnant. She got pregnant, and she gave birth to a girl in 1987 in the month of June, 1st of June. And that changed my life. I wasn't not prepared for that. But I'm seeing this little girl grow up. I watch her, take her first steps, and she had the biggest eyes and nice curls. A very, very pretty girl. And I've always had a great liking for pretty girls. Like, this was my daughter, and without really being aware of it, I fell in love with her, big time. It was, I think, at that point, that was the point when I became a human being, because up until that point, I was very much of an egomaniac, even though I wanted to help the world, but it was really all about me, I'm the special guy. I get to do things that almost nobody else can, and I'm eventually going to have decent money and have a good life. It was all about me. I left my German wife to spy in the Soviet Union. I could have, at that point, said, maybe I shouldn't. So I fall in love with this girl, and she was 18 months old when the KGB was spooked. Somehow they got some information through some channel that indicated that I was in danger of being caught. And they decided to implement the emergency procedure. So there was a particular plan that we had in case I had to run. Either I find out myself that I'm in danger, or they're telling me. The procedure was as follows. I had emergency documents, a driver's license, there may have been a secondary document, Canadian, that I buried in a park north of Manhattan someplace. I was supposed to retrieve the documents and make a beeline to Canada, going across the, I think it's called the Friendship Bridge at Niagara Falls. I had tested, they asked me to test how easy it was to cross. And in those days, you didn't even have to show documents. You just walked. So, and then make my way to Ottawa, where I would get in touch with a diplomat there, a KGB agent, and they would extricate me out of Canada. Straightforward, right?
Wow.
Now, that was so, and I would have to set a signal telling them that I'm starting the emergency procedure. We had two signal spots. One was for me to put a signal. That was someplace in Manhattan, and it was under a bridge, and it was next to a highway. When The Soviets lived in the north of Manhattan, and they would drive to work a certain road, and they would pass by that spot every day. So if I place a red dot, a paint red dot on that spot, that means they would be alerted that I'm on the run. The other spot was for them to put signals there and for me to read, and that was on my way to work on a support beam for the A train that ran above ground in that part of town. And one morning, it was in December, I went to, when I was going to work, it was still dark. So I go there and, as usual, I just take a peek and not expecting anything, and there was this red dot. May I use the S word?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
It's the internet.
that is what popped into my head. Oh, shit. See, at that point, I was still trying to figure out, one day I need to go back. They will call me back. How do I take care of this girl?
So that was what that red dot meant.
The red dot meant emergency.
You're out.
Yeah. Actually, it meant, if you read this, you just don't go home. Don't pack your bags. Just make a beeline, collect the documents, and get out of there.
Wow.
Yes.
And you had documents buried in a park?
Yes. Actually, after, and that was then 9 years later when the FBI, when I started working with the FBI, we went and I found the documents that were still there.
Oh my God.
It wasn't really buried. There was a park bench that was broken, and the concrete things on both ends that hold the board. There was one of those concrete elements that was still standing there without anything. So I pulled it back and put the document underneath, and 9 years later, we're still there.
Wow.
That helped with my credibility with the FBI,
So you saw this red dot.
Yeah, and I said, oh, shit, and because I wasn't ready to go. I had not found a way to take care of this girl who I loved dearly. Because
daughter.
Yes, her name is Chelsea. She's 34 now.
Yeah, same year. She was born a month before me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, and her mother was poorly educated. She had, I think, four years of formal education. Chelsea would have grown up in poverty, no doubt in my mind, and I couldn't stand that thought. So I just decided to ignore the dot. I told you I was always a risk taker. There obviously was a risk if the KGB was right, and I hang around for some more days, the FBI will come knock on the door, and I wind up in jail. Right.